Hi, so like last time, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a recap on the lessons that I've learned as someone who is relearning how to sew. After a number of years, I forgot pretty much everything, including how to load my sewing machine. But thanks to the many wonderful people on YouTube and TikTok, I managed to relearn things and I managed to complete these 2 new projects, which took so much longer than if I were to do it now, but I would have not known if I did not try. So I just wanted to talk about 3 bigger lessons that I learned that affected my projects quite a bit, as well as some few smaller lessons that were just good to know. So the first big lesson is to take advantage of patterns. So patterns like this, that are a little bit irregular, they are good for hiding mistakes. So I unfortunately didn't have enough fabric in the front of this piece to fully undo it so that it would fit my body perfectly, but I managed to hide some of the uneven stitching behind some sequins, which is great, as well as, even though it's not an even stitch, I don't think anyone will notice unless they're staring for too long, which would be a different problem. So take advantage of patterns by hiding your mistakes within them. And this one as well, there's so much beautiful things going on. I hope that no one notices my pretty big folly in the end, where I have to cut out some of the pattern at the edges because I didn't have enough fabric after I cut wrongly, which brings me to my next lesson, which is to never ever use the pattern to measure how much to cut. So why I made the mistake and why you will see earlier in the video that the cut was misaligned is because I measured it from a pattern. So I measured, I think, like 8 cm from like one of these lines all the way through, but I didn't realize that the ready-made part of the skirt was misaligned to begin with. So the pattern at the seams, so I realigned the pattern in the new seam as much as I could. I tried to match each line to each line, and even then it's not perfect, but previously it was misaligned even more seriously, and that meant that my measurement was just completely off. I had assumed that it was lined perfectly all the way through, and that was a very wrong assumption to make, and was very costly in terms of the amount of length that I cut off. So always measure from the edge. And that also brings me to my next lesson, is to not cut until you're absolutely sure. So I made the mistake of measuring from the pattern and then after that cutting immediately. What I would do next time is to just either pin the new length and then check it, see whether I'm happy with that before doing any sewing or any cutting. And then even when I sew, I would just sew a big fold, and then before cutting the extra length, try it again. And only when I'm happy with it and absolutely 100% sure will I do any cutting and then folding in the raw hem. So don't cut until you're absolutely sure, because I was very sad when I lost both the length, and that's why now it's a little bit uneven. It's shorter at the back, but I decided to embrace it. It is a mark of how it is handmade, and I will do better next time because now I know, and now you know. So the next few smaller lessons that I will just quickly brush through is one, hand sewing is best for small details. So for like this making sure that the neckline lays flat. Previously it kept bunching up. It ended up being a fix that I needed to hand sew because I had to sew a very, very small stitch, and the machine was too rough with it. It kept sewing too much or too little, or it would just gather at one spot. So hand sewing ended up being the best option for that small detail. So I would recommend that, especially if you have a lot of beads or sequins on your top. The next thing is that if you're a beginner, I would definitely recommend starting with a smaller project. So working with a lot of fabric was much more difficult because I kept having to keep track of how much fabric was on my table and whether any was going underneath what I was sewing, and whether it would just catch on things, and it was just a lot to handle. So I would definitely start with a smaller project if you're just starting out, because then you can see everything and things won't get lost being folded under everything else. Something else that was difficult was curves. So curves are difficult, I think, if you are doing sewing for the first time or one of your first few times. Definitely doable. I did figure it out in the end. But it did drive me crazy for a bit, and I did wish many times that I was working with rectangles, which is what this original pattern was. I will be linking the pattern in the description box. I highly recommend it. Unfortunately for this one, I didn't have enough material for 2 big rectangles without losing some of the width, because it already came with a smaller top and a wider bottom. So I had to work with the curve to begin with, and unfortunately it meant that my hemming wasn't as neat, because there will be a point where you have a gathering of fabric. I did try this TikTok hack, also in the description below, where it helps you use a stay stitch to gather around the curve so it's an even gather, but it didn't work for this because there was so much fabric. So if you want to have a little bit of an easier time, I would recommend as a beginner to just try with more angular pieces more than curves. But if you want to, or if you have a piece that requires you to, just try it anyway, because the most important lesson out of all of this is to have fun, and I failed a little bit at this, is to not turn up the pressure so much. This is all just an experiment. It's a chance to be creative, and ultimately you might still end up with something that you like, even if it's imperfect. And if it's imperfect, it's just a mark of how it was handmade and a bunch of lessons in one piece of clothing, which I think is really cool. I still love wearing this, even though it is far from perfect. Like I said, it's short at the back and long in the front, but it is a part of its personality now, a mark of me, and next time I will do better, because I know better now. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope that it encourages you to learn how to sew, because I think it's a great practical skill to have. Ultimately, just be creative, do what you want, experiment, and I hope if this doesn't help you, encourage you to start learning how to sew, I hope you enjoyed the video anyway, because I did enjoy it. I think there were times that I was frustrated, but ultimately I did enjoy it, and I am very excited to alter. I have a whole pile of clothes I want to alter now, and it's cool to feel and to know that I can. But yes, thank you for watching. Till next time.